All right, it looks like we are live. So bear with me, guys. I am trying something out. I haven't done this before. We are going to go live on YouTube, and I'm also going to try to record this as a podcast. So we're going to give it a second, and I am going to hit record over on Anchor. So here we go. Hello there, and welcome back to Liberty All Day. This is Letty Lou. I hope everything's going well with you guys. So this is actually episode 47. I'm calling it Finding My Religion. I know. I had that song stuck in my head as I was typing this. I'm like, that's going to be the title. So I felt a calling this year to go back to the church. And I found that I'm not the only one who's in this boat. There's a large group of people I know who are on this journey with me. Some of us are coming back to the Catholic Church. Some are starting their journeys as Catholics, and some are other forms of Christian. And it doesn't matter the denomination, but we all feel this calling. I can't exactly explain it, but something clicked earlier this year and is pulling me to come back to the church. I've always said bedtime prayers with Little Man and now with Bug. We don't always do grace for meals, but we do it at the holidays. And I haven't been to an actual mass in person in ages, but that doesn't matter. One of my words this year is confidence. And confidence in my religion and what that means to me, what part that plays in my life is huge. So I've made it a priority this year to once again say my daily rosary. And okay, I'm going to have in the show notes and also on the blog links to all these references. But I highly recommend joining in with the Holy Family School of Faith and their daily rosary meditations. They're beautiful, first of all, and they give me a lot to think about afterwards. For me, I find the best time to do my rosary is when I wake up in the very early hours of the morning. Some days that means it's 6:30. Some days it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. Doesn't matter when. But I pull up their website and play that day's rosary, and I pray along with them. I've also found Father Mike Schmitz in his Catechism in a Year podcast. I guess last year he did the Bible in a year. And this year he's spending the year reading through and explaining the Catechism of the Catholic Church. His explanations of what he reads each day are really, really good. And I'm finding myself learning a lot that I didn't know beforehand. So Squatch refers to him to the show as Father Mike in the Catechisms. And I play that in the mornings when I'm in the kitchen making breakfast, and he'll kind of like, it's Father Mike in the Catechisms. And I'm like, yeah. And then he sits down and he listens to what's being talked about. And then when we sit down to eat breakfast, I'll play the daily mass. St. Thomas the Apostle, West Springfield, Massachusetts, is actually the mass that we listen to every day. I've gone through several before I found one that I actually like. And we'll get to mass and church in just a minute or two. After breakfast, Squatch reads from a devotional that we picked up at Hobby Lobby. And I should have had it here so I could show you, and I can't remember the name of it, but really good. I highly enjoy it. And then he has his own personal devotional that he picked up. And he's not religious. He wasn't raised in any particular denomination. And as a Catholic, it hasn't been the easiest being married to somebody who is not religious at all. But we worked through a lot of the kinks in our religious/spiritual lives. And I am so pleased to see him coming into religion. And no matter what path he chooses to take, I'm going to support him. If he wants to join the Catholic Church with me and the boys, he can. If he wants to go be Lutheran, Protestant, if he wants to join the Mennonites, I don't care. I'm just very pleased to see that he is finding something, So the only thing that we're missing is a church home. I have a church right around the corner from our house. It's part of a 4-parish cluster. And Saturday night, I decided to take Bug with me, and we were going to go to mass because Squatch and Little Man were in Illinois. They were visiting with Squatch's family down there, and Little Man is still down there with my parents for the week. And I'm enjoying my quiet time and solitude without him, but I miss him dearly, you guys. regardless, back to the topic. I went to Mass Saturday and I didn't plan on receiving communion. I haven't been to an in-person Mass in ages, and it's been almost 5 years since my last confession. So technically I'm not eligible to receive communion. So I'm like, okay, we'll figure that out. I had gone to the Parish Cluster website to see when I could do confession because I figured, they usually set up like an hour, half an hour before Mass. I can get it done. The website says that the confession is by appointment or on Sundays at 8:30 and 10:30. Okay. Sundays at 8:30 and 10:30, they have Mass at two of the other churches. So I'm not quite sure how that works. Is a priest making himself available before those two Masses to hear confessions, or how does it work? I don't know. I didn't get into it. So no confession for me, no communion. It wasn't the end of the world. So I bundled Bug up and we drove over. And in the time it took me to open up the dreadnought, buckle Bug in, drive over, park, unbuckle him, and walk into the vestibule of the church, we could have just walked over. But it was chilly, and when I say chilly, I mean it was like 28 degrees. So I know, freezing cold for some of you guys, but not that bad up here. When I walked in the vestibule, and there were two women ushers at the front who welcomed us. They were very kind, but women ushers also are very foreign to me. I am used to having men as the ushers at church. But I was able to chat with them a little bit about the church at the parish and some of the other churches in the cluster. Wasn't completely feeling it, but I said, I'm here. I'm going to go through. We're going to go in. I walked with Bug into the nave and found a seat in a pew, like the very far back pew, because I figure if he gets rowdy, I can get up and walk him into the children's room that they have. I felt at peace. Like I walked in and I sat down and I felt tears starting. The smell of incense was very heavy. And Bug enjoyed it too. I love the smell of incense in church, and I feel like it's not used quite enough. There are about 20 or so people sitting around in the pews praying the rosary. And I found a seat in the back, and I joined in. I missed the first decade, but I was there for the last 4. And then when we finished the rosary, everybody was just silent in their meditations and prayer. And I teared up once again. And I haven't felt that since back when we were living in Illinois, and I went to Mass for the first time at the church that I went to down there. And I felt at home at that church. But I didn't quite feel at home at this church. A couple minutes later, I heard the quiet chime of bells from behind me in the vestibule, and everyone stood for Mass to start. And the guitar lady jumps up and starts strumming away. Y'all know who the guitar lady is. Sometimes it's a guitar man. It's a person who can play the guitar, and they're like, I'm going to play my guitar at church. And it's all about them. It's not about what should be hymns being played. It's not about the organ. It's about their playing and what a good player they are. I found this show on YouTube. It's called The Catholic Talk Show. It's also a podcast, and those guys are awesome. They actually talk about the guitar people in their episode 5 Ways to Fix a Novus Ordo. There's another episode by them called 15 Things That Need to Stop Happening During Mass, which I will cover some of this in just a moment. So for the rest of Mass, I was just torn. The priest, I couldn't understand a dang word that he said. I mean, he straight off the boat from India, and I could not understand what he was saying, which, if I can't understand what you're saying when you're reading the gospel or doing the homily or doing the benediction or anything, that's a problem. And I tried, I really, really tried. But when he raised the body and the blood of Christ, they rang the bells, which that elevates everything, and I love it. But there was no Agnus Dei, there was no Panis Angelicus. Oh God, that's fine. You guys, for the sign of peace, there was no shaking hands, saying peace be with you. There were no like hugs between the family members who were standing right next to each other. They were little waves, lots of flashing peace signs. Why the hell are we flashing peace signs at church? That's not what this is. That's not what the sign of peace is. Yes, this is a peace sign, but that's not what the sign of peace is in the Catholic Mass. And I am so glad that I spent about half the Mass in the child's room in the back, because had I been up there during the sign of peace, I probably would have said something that I shouldn't have. Because that was, oh my God, that was ridiculous. One of the ushers did come back when it came time for communion. I asked if I was going to make communion. I said, oh, no. I was like, no, I haven't been to confession, so not today. And she looked at me like confused, like, why would it matter that you haven't been to confession? Like, just come get communion. I could have gone up, but carrying the baby and walking up and then, arms across my chest, that's not going to happen when I'm dealing with him. So it's like, I'm just going to stay in the back, just going to do my thing. And I left, and I was so uncomfortable and deflated and conflicted. And I spent the rest of Saturday night contemplating whether or not I should attend Mass at the other 3 churches in the cluster, or if I should just try a different cluster in the area. Because every church that you go to, it has its own feeling. I know, Buggy, 1 more minute. It has its own feeling. It has its culture. And Squatch got home yesterday, and we discussed it, and we decided that this cluster will not be for us. So even if the culture at one of the other churches fits better with what I'm looking for, if I just can't understand the priest, and we only have one priest for these 4 churches, that's a whole other problem. So Wednesday, 1 second, I'm checking out Mass at a different church. It's part of a different cluster. In this church, they actually have a school and a ton of other programs, especially that are geared towards kids under 5, which I think is amazing. And I am enjoying the fact, just from looking online, that they're very family friendly. Bit disappointed because I thought, oh, maybe I could enroll little man in either kindergarten or preschool there, but they're already like booked full for the little kids, so that's not gonna happen. But Wednesday morning, I'm taking this little guy, and we're gonna find out if this church will work for us or not. The downside, it's a good 50 to 20 minutes away, but from what I've seen, they really look to be a better fit for me and what I want. Unfortunately, what I really, really want is to be able to attend a Latin Mass. But if I want to do that, it's about 2 hours or so to get to one. I have to go to the Twin Cities. I have to go to Wausau. I'm not sure if there's one up near Duluth or Superior. There may be, but that's still an hour and a half to 2 hours away, no matter which direction I'm going in. And that's just not feasible for us at this point in time. So I'm just going to keep on going with what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing my rosary every day. I'm going to keep listening to Father Mike and the catechisms every day. I'm going to keep watching Mass online every day. And I'm going to continue the search for my church home. And if you're in the same boat, I hope that you do too. Because it's important. Times are just getting so weird and so trying right now. I mean, what's going on with all these things getting shot down over this guy? Like, what is getting shut down? What are we seeing? And what's happening? So if you're also on this journey of not necessarily finding, but reconnecting with your faith, reconnecting with your church, reconnecting with your religion, however you want to put it, let me know, because I want to support you in this journey. I hope you support me in my journey. And this guy's being silly. And I hope that you find peace no matter where you end up or what you choose to do. So thanks, guys, for joining in, and we'll chat again soon.